John Lyndon, time for a final comment from you. I think, sir, your feeling about the situation. I mean, clearly everyone wants the killing to stop. Everyone wants the deaths to stop, regardless of which side one is on or which side one takes. Here, of course, we're straight down the middle, trying to deal with the human issues and the negotiations and try to get sort of some fairness out of the situation. And I know that's where you're coming from. In terms of what happens next, sir, what do you want to see? What do you hope to see?
Well, I mean, we didn't address the report this week with the IPC certifying the famine may be imminent in the north of Gaza. I think that should focus everybody's attention. Everything we've seen up until now would be only a prelude to the sort of tragedy that is possible if famine conditions arrive. That, if nothing else, should create the sense of urgency that diplomats should feel. And maybe one other observation is just that we've talked a lot about elite level diplomacy and political machinations. We have to also put the human beings, the Israeli and Palestinian citizens who are traumatized, right at the center of our calculations. Whatever Secretary Blinken discusses with the Saudis or with Bibi, there are millions of traumatized Israelis and Palestinians who will need to be stakeholders in any diplomatic process and any final status agreement. And I encourage Secretary Blinken, Europeans, Israeli, Palestinian leaders to think about a strategy that can put civil society, Israeli-Palestinian partnership at the core of the sort of long-term process that's going to be required to underpin any diplomatic agreement on a piece of paper and make it stick and make scenes like we're seeing on our televisions right now impossible to envision in the future.
John, I've taken an executive decision and I'm buying 5 more minutes for us to talk because it's important what you mentioned about the famine situation. I mean, clearly there's been a warning about this for a long time. The UN has said that it's been blocked in terms of trying to get its aid into the Gaza Strip. I mean, this situation needs to be resolved for the greater good of those people sheltering from the bombardment.
Yeah, I mean, this should go above politics or above whether, your opinion is on permanent ceasefire, pro-Israeli, pro-Palestinian. Famine is famine is famine. We've had, I think, 2 famines declared in the 21st century so far. The IPC is the most credible body in the world for being able to measure the various criteria. They've said that they have hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in the north of the Gaza Strip that are in what they call phase 5 category. Now, to put that in context, there are nobody in Afghanistan, Somalia, or Sudan that is in phase 5, according to the IPC. These are some of the most acute issues around hunger elsewhere in the world. We saw Samantha Power, the US aid administrator in the United States, issue a very stark statement in recent days. Secretary Blinken said that 100% of the population of Gaza are suffering shortage of food. This, again, beyond politics, we need to flood the Gaza Strip with food. Food is not a dual-use product. Food can only be used to nourish people. And, for people saying that they don't want any of it to go to Hamas, I understand that. But if we're comfortable with collateral damage for weapons being used in a war where civilians will die, we should be comfortable with collateral nourishment where people who we don't like have food in their stomachs, whilst people we do care for also do. So I'd really urge everybody to put this above politics. Gaza's surrounded by Egypt and Israel and the Mediterranean Sea. All of those entry points should be used to get food to people who need it in the Gaza Strip.
Indeed, 2 boats are arriving on the Mediterranean as we speak. Clearly there is moves to try to get food in, but it's getting it past and safely through and obviously preserving the lives of the aid workers. That is another issue too.